So, hello and welcome back to episode number 2 of Action Coaches Ireland's franchise success series. And episode 1 was a big hit. So, Tom Kelly, no pressure. Welcome to the show.
Well, Tom O'Kelly, don't forget the O. Very important. We're the old kings of Ireland.
The old kings of Ireland, Tom. Brilliant to have you on the show. And it is, of course, episode number 2, where we as Action Coach Ireland will be speaking to all our franchise partners across the country. Tom, you're up next. So it is going to be a 10 to 15 minute discussion about your experience, your journey through Action Coach, and I look forward to talking with you. So, Tom, before we will kick off by asking you, I suppose, about your professional background and experience before you joined Action Coach, Tom.
Okay. So, obviously started off the very early days in the fashion business. I ended up being a buyer at 21 years of age in Pennies. Which was very exciting back in the day. I think they only had about 30 stores then, and now it's a multi-billion pound business. So very exciting. So I learned an awful lot there for about 5 years. Went out into wholesaling, tried that at the end of the 70s. Those were the days you could sell all day long, but you couldn't get paid. But that was interesting. And then I invested in a business that I kind of thought I'd do well in. I was in the nightclub business, and I got involved in a place called Buckwheaties in Leeson Street, where I was for many, many years. Loved doing that. That was great fun. And then got married and decided I better get out of here. I was having too much fun and set up a business called Kelco Designs. And Kelco Designs was the manufacture and design of custom-made furniture. So that for about 20 odd years and enjoyed that. Along came the recession, tried a couple of different things, took a job with a large corporate company for about 3 years. Said, no, we need to get back into working for myself again. And hence, after a lot of trials, found coaching, which I had very little belief in at the time, I have to say, but learned an awful lot. I think that's the key to it all. I learned an awful lot. So hence why I became a coach.
And speaking about coaching, Tom, you are a coach. What do you like most about it?
There's so much about it, really. I think it's people. I like meeting people. It's dealing with myself a lot of the time, in the sense that these business owners that I work with nowadays are in exactly the same position that I was in myself. And without putting them all in the same basket, I know. I thought I knew everything, and I didn't realize there was a different way of doing things. So actually having a coach, and as we all know, what does a coach do? It gets the best out of other people. So I think it's something that didn't exist and wasn't really around in my time. But I think having the pleasure of having a toolbox from Action Coach, it gives me the ability to help other people to save money and stop making the same mistakes, but also to change the mindset that what you want is actually possible.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned improving and, key to coaching, whether it's sport, whether it's golf, and I know you're a golf fan, or whether it's business, it's that constant seeking to improve, I suppose, your clients, or, from a sporting context. Coaching, it is, as we say, not just for sports, it's also for business. And yes, it's interesting just hearing about your story, Tom. And I suppose in terms of the motivation in becoming a coach, what was the key motivators for you?
Well, A, I suppose I could work for myself. Back to work for myself again. B, it wasn't something where I need to carry a lot of stock. I didn't have to I had to make an investment, obviously, in buying the franchise, but it was, getting a toolbox that I was now able to share. But the biggest challenge, let's be honest, is actually the learning part of it, is actually learning and also change, because I had to accept that it challenged all my beliefs. Let's be honest about this, okay? But when the penny finally dropped, I said, okay, now I get it. And that's what I have the pleasure in sharing with other business owners now at the moment. So that's the real kind of joy in it, is getting with the business owners to change the mindset, to say, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. And looking that there are many, many different strategies, many, many different ways of achieving something. Whereas before, as business owners, I kind of fell into the same old trap. You wake up, you go to work, you go to bed, and repeat and repeat. So now you can kind of change that cycle and make it more exciting and interesting for business owners.
And when you start working with a new client, Tom, or when you start working with a client, is that key? Is to really energize them? Like, where do you start with
I
a
think
new
it's
client?
not anything. It's all in the positioning. So when you start doing anything, if you start doing it the wrong way, you're going to end up going down the wrong road. So positioning is absolutely key. Uh, but initially, it's about the relationship. Like any sale, any relationship, you got to make sure that you have a strong relationship there, and you start building trust. Because not everyone's going to believe me just because I say something. So we don't tell people, we ask people. So I got to get to know that person, but I got to understand, do they have a destination? Do they want to know where they want to go to? And some of them don't, by the way. So that therein says, okay, well, let's put together a destination, because without a destination, we can't put a plan together. It's very simple.
Yeah, you mentioned destination and plans. This was the Action Coach Ireland quarterly planning session we do with all our clients and people who do want to join. So that is on Friday. So just to plug that,
Yeah.
if anyone wants to create a plan for their business for the next 90 days and beyond, Growth Club is a great place to do that. Tom, I suppose just coming back in terms of the impact that Action Coach has had on you and your life, talk us through that.
Again, it comes back to, I suppose, what I've learned by doing this. So it's one thing learning the toolbox that I have and how I can share that with other people, but actually having an understanding of the cause and effect is huge. So even for myself personally and the learnings that I have taken, and obviously I have to go through exactly what I put my own clients through. So therefore, when I have to come up with my plans, I have great empathy with what it's like for my clients, because I have to go through exactly the same thing. So we're not the gods saying we know it all. We don't. We have to practice what we preach, literally. So it's actually great learning and going through this process. But I can say that I never had a plan written out. I never had goals written out. And that is what we teach and coach in Action Coach. But actually having gone through the pain of it, because it's not easy for a lot of people, and I found it, I struggled myself. But when you have it done, you literally wake up with a destination one morning. You say, I now have a why. And that is just, to me, it's absolutely huge.
And what is your why, Tom O'Kelly?
Now you're getting personal. Okay. So my why now is I want to look after myself better than I ever did before. I have definite goals, definite things I want to do, things I want to have, things I want to experience. I didn't have them before. So I can now share that with my wife and my family. So we're very, very clear of where we're going. What is my journey? So I actually have a journey mapped out, and it may change along the way, but in principle, there are things and experiences I want to have before I pop my clogs. So I have my why, and my why in my business is to share what I have, my learnings, which through the Action Coach program, which is designed to grow the people's business. And that's my why.
Which in turns, gives a lot more freedom in your life. And you mentioned, I think it has come up, personal goals and business goals is the root of, what we do for clients. And it's, I suppose in terms of the coaching side, Tom, I did want to ask you this. New coaches, people who are looking to make a difference in their community, from a business perspective, and who are looking to join our team. What advice would you give any new coach joining the Action Coach community today?
Be open to change. Be willing to learn. Be willing to adapt. Be willing to change your beliefs because you will be challenged on it. And have fun. Absolutely have fun. There's a lot of good you can do for your community that you mentioned there. And it's really by getting it out there and working with your clients to achieve what they want, not what you want. But we have to ensure that they have their own destination where they want to go to. Now we can help them as coaches to get there. But the first stage of it is obviously they got to know where do they want to go to. And that's a difficult step initially when in the process. But I think you're asking about from an actual coach perspective. Yeah, you got to have a will to win. And I think you've got to be patient, but you've also got to be, how can I say, not dominant, but you've got to be a little bit forceful in trying to push your clients. Don't be afraid to push them. And some of them won't like it, but we all need a little push every now and then, everybody, just to reach where we want to get to. But again, from the very beginning, setting out a plan, saying, here's where I want to go to. Great. How do you want to get there?
Yeah,
how are we going to, when are you going to get there? So that's the journey.
I think it's that blend, isn't it? I think when we were on Global Conference last year, Tom, I'm not sure exactly. It definitely did come from one of the Australian coaches. You know, summing up coaching, the blend of support and challenge, and being able to get that right. Can you relate to that?
Absolutely. It's like we do a lot of our stuff on Zoom, and you do some stuff face to face, but a lot of it is Zoom. But you got to get to know the people. It can get very confidential. You can have tears, you can have laughter. But it's very, very focused. But it is a relationship, and trust is absolutely key. You know, you don't just rock up and talk rubbish for an hour. It's, you got to build that trust, but you got to have a focus, and you got to see every week or every fortnight, whenever you're dealing with your clients, you got to be able to see that they are making an advancement. As long as they're moving forward, then it's a win-win. And that's the pleasure in it from a coach's perspective, is to seeing your clients actually say, great, yes, I won this last week. I got this done. I got that done. I'm moving forward. This is great.
Does that give you great satisfaction to see that?
Absolutely. That is the win. That's the win in it. You know, it isn't all just about the money, and the money is the bottom line. Yeah, and we all measure our success by how much do we make and everything else. But to some of the clients I've had, for argument's sake, it's been more time. Like, they were making enough money, but they just had no time. So that was what was more important to them. So it's not what I want for them, it's what they want. That's what we got to find out in the initial stages. You know, what do they want?
We mentioned just on Tom, just to kind of say to you, on the last on episode number 1 with Kevin, of course, and if anyone who hasn't seen that, please do go back and watch Kevin's story, when he spoke about the different sectors and the different types of businesses that he's worked with over the years. And in your case, have you found, is there any particular sector or any particular industry that you've helped more so, or is it more general?
No, we're not the type of person, really. I have to say, I've worked with professional businesses, accountants, solicitors, trades, manufacturing, all different types of different things. The type of business doesn't really matter to me. It's more the business, more the attitude of the owner, the business owner that we deal with. What is their attitude? Do we click? Do we get on? Because let's be honest, I'm not going to get on with everybody, even though I think I should. But not everyone's going to like me, and I'm not going to like everybody. You kind of find, and that's why our process, when we onboard a client, works well, because it isn't just one phone call, yes, no. It's a 13-step process. A lot of people will find that, what, 13 bloody steps? It's not ridiculous. But actually, it means that when you do start, you've already got that relationship and you've got an understanding from which to kickstart.
Tom, just to ask you, community did come up. The influence that, coaching can have in not just your clients, but the community. Give us your thoughts on that.
Building a community can be difficult, because everyone has kind of suffered through the pandemic and everything else, and you kind of retreat into yourself. You think all about yourselves, okay? But when you look at it from a global and a more worldly vantage point, if you start doing things better, the knock on to your neighbor, the knock on to whoever's in your food chain, so to speak, down the way, you buy that extra steak, you buy the extra pair of shoes, you use the extra, you get a guy to cut the grass, you use the extra electrician. It's success breeds success, not just for you. It goes around the community. So thinking a global thing outside yourself is actually paramount. And that's why what I like about us in ActionCOACH is we try and build that community so we can share within the community, because you're stronger as a community than you are individually.
Fantastic. Finally, Tom, it's been great catching up with you. Episode number 2 of our franchise success series. Last question for you, Tom. Apart from the golf, what does the future look like for Tom O'Kelly?
Now, you really want the truth?
Give us the truth.
More free time, maybe play an extra day of golf, maybe play more tennis, and spend more time with my lovely family.
And business-wise?
Business-wise, yeah, I'd like to increase. I could take on maybe another third, another 30 to 40% would be fine. I'd be very happy with that.
Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Enjoy the golfing, and I wish you all the best on your
Thank you,
road
Barry.
to
Appreciate
continued
it.
success. Tom, brilliant talking to you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Cheers to you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.